In my last video, we discussed how to launch a voice studio when you're just starting out. But what do you do after you've been teaching for several years and you start to feel burnout? I've taught singers in various capacities, privately, in local music schools, for a celebrity voice coach, and at universities for over 20 years. And I admit I wanted to quit on multiple occasions. The amount of energy that goes into serious one-on-one private coaching is intense, and teacher burnout is a very real phenomenon. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 ideas for scaling your voice studio. Many of these ideas come out of the current entrepreneurial movement and are practices a lot of voice teachers either never think of, think are too hard, or for some other successful teacher. I used to be one of these teachers who didn't believe I could scale my business. In fact, I'd never heard the phrase scaling a business. I didn't really think of my voice studio as a business. In fact, I wasted a lot of opportunities by believing my voice studio was just a placeholder until I finally made it as a singer. So let's dive right into what it means to scale a business. According to the online Merriam-Webster dictionary, scale is increasingly being used as shorthand for scale up, to grow or expand in a proportional and usually profitable way. And as a noun, that means proportional growth, especially of production or profit, and/or a large market position. I'll leave a link to the complete definition in the description below. In other words, to scale a business means to grow the business. And in entrepreneurial circles, it also means creating higher ticket offers that reduce the amount of hours you have to work to create the same amount of money. So in the context of a voice studio, scaling your business can be as simple as raising your rates. For example, if you've been charging $50 a lesson, then to make $5,000 a month, you'll need to teach 100 lessons a month, which is 25 lessons a week. Now, if you were to raise your rate to $100 a lesson, then you would only need to teach 50 lessons a month, which works out to 12.5 lessons per week, which would free up your time for more performing, more leisure, more family time, or more time to focus on growing other areas of your business. In addition to raising your rates, be creative in where you teach your lessons. When I was starting out, video conferencing didn't exist. But nowadays, you can teach students anywhere in the world via Skype, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, and WhatsApp. My current favorite is Zoom. And the free Zoom account includes screen sharing, video and audio recording, which are all very useful perks. But raising your rate and expanding online are not the only ways to scale your business. Another way is to switch your teaching model from one-to-one teaching to one-to-many. In other words, instead of teaching one student at $50 a lesson, you teach a group of 10 students at $50 each. Now instead of $50, you make $500 for the same time period. I recently encouraged another voice teacher to take this approach, but she was worried that students wouldn't be able to learn effectively in a group setting. And it's true that developing a voice is a personal and often private journey. However, this doesn't mean that your students wouldn't also benefit from group sessions, workshops, and/or masterclasses. For beginners, you could focus on singing fundamentals and your take on the basics of breathing and support. For more advanced students, you could focus on the technical challenges of coloratura passages, acting, and performance practice. In fact, your more advanced students would benefit from a group format that required them to perform in front of each other. If you maintain a safe, inspiring, and motivational space to share a new repertoire, your students will gain in confidence and performing experience. Group coaching can also be appealing to your students financially, because if you charge $100 a lesson, but the class costs $50, you will actually both come out ahead. At this point, you'll want to start defining and packaging your own methodology. Even if you're teaching a traditional bel canto approach, you can market it with your own personality, share your influences, and describe it in detail. If you're like me, someone who has studied a lot of different methods and synthesized them into my own cohesive whole, then codify your system, giving credit where and whenever appropriate. For example, I'm happy to credit Vocal Awareness, Susan Nance, Joe Estel, and Lisa Popiel as some of my personal influences. But why is it important to brand and be able to speak clearly about your own teaching method? Well, it's essential for the next idea, which is to create an online and/or downloadable course. Again, this is another idea that is being heavily utilized right now in the entrepreneurial space. But what are we after all, if not singerpreneurs? And there actually are a number of successful voice coaches with followings, large and small, who have successfully capitalized on this approach. In fact, my husband encouraged me to do this 10 years ago, after I'd already been teaching for a decade. But I didn't think I knew enough. I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't believe I had enough to offer. Mostly, though, these were an excuse to cover up the debilitating impact of imposter syndrome and perfectionism. Don't make my mistake and wait until you feel ready. If you've been singing for years and teaching as well, it's highly likely you have something of value to share. Trust that the right students will find your products. There's a wonderful podcast all about creating online music teaching courses called Passive Income Musician Podcast. I'll leave a link in the description. Once you've been teaching for a while, it's probable that you'll have nurtured the talents of a number of wonderful, talented singers. And some of these may be perfect candidates for teachers themselves. I've had several teachers nurture not only my talent as a singer, but also my talent for teaching. And I've paid that gift forward by teaching some of my own students what I know about teaching. So at this point, if you've already scaled your business by raising your rates, teaching online, teaching groups, defining your branded method, and developing online courses and downloadable products, then it may be time to bring on associate teachers. These associates will be certified to teach your method, and there are actually a number of different ways you can handle this relationship. In fact, there's a whole art to scaling just this one area of your voice studio. For example, you start with just one associate teacher who teaches out of your home studio. Then you expand to 5 associates who teach students under your umbrella online. Then you rent a teaching space and set up a small school. Eventually, you may even offer franchising and a certification program. There are a lot of ways to scale your teaching business, and all of them will help you avoid the burnout I experienced off and on for years from one-to-one coaching before I realized there was another way to run my business. Here are some teachers who understand the concept of scaling a voice studio. There are links in the description below to their websites, and I'm not currently an affiliate for any of their offers. If you have a voice studio or are even just thinking of launching a voice studio, it's never too early to think about scaling. Take the leap and really start thinking of your voice studio as a real scalable business. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like it, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments below what other topics you'd like me to cover to help you further your singing career. In my next video, we'll return to Instagram hashtags and what I'm doing to grow my Instagram account to 1,000 followers. And if you haven't already seen them, make sure to check out my last videos about how to launch a voice studio and how to grow organically as a singer on Instagram. And as always, go out into the world and let your light shine. You deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you.